Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John. Today I have a new album review by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's called Unlimited Love. So in this video I'm just going to talk about the album, go through some of the songs, I'll talk about the producer, some of the new changes in the band, and I'll give a final score at the end. So this is album number 12, released on April 1st, 2022. Now the big news about this album, it's the return of John Frusciante. He was a guitarist for, many of the albums in the past, but he left in 2009. He replaced the guitarist called Josh Klinghoffer. So John Frusciante was kind of like doing electronic music like during the time he left the band, but he came back and, he got right back into it. And this album was also produced by Rick Rubin, who produced a lot of the band's albums, such as Blood Sugar Sex Magik and many of the other ones. So this is kind of like a very classic lineup. So that's really good news for this album. The album is fairly long. It's 1 hour and 15 minutes, but for a Red Hot Chili Peppers album, that's kind of like standard. It's about the same time as like the Blood Sugar Sex Magik album. But for example, Stadium Arcadium was like over 2 hours. So they do tend to like make long albums. Now, like I said, Rick Rubin is producing it. The previous album, The Getaway, was produced by Danger Mouse, and that one kind of had like a different sound, but this is more of that like classic sound. And supposedly the band like recorded like 50 songs on during these sessions, so they already have like another album already planned. But this one has like 16 songs, and basically like the songs go like through like the band's like careers. Going through different sounds from their different periods. This band is like almost 40 years old. So for example, some of the songs have more of that like early sound, that like Uplift Mojo Party, and they're like early, the mid to like late 80s sound. So for example, the single Poster Child, many of you have heard that already, does have that like funky sound with the singing and rapping. Really good song. Aquatic Mouth Dance, that's another one. That reminded me a lot of like the Uplift Mojo, Party album. Has like slap bass, that funky sound. They mix in some horns, so that's a really good song. Another song, What You're Thinking. It's a funky ballad. Kind of has like this distorted guitar solo. So those were the three songs reminding me of the early sound. A couple songs reminded me of that like Blood Sugar Sex Magik sound. So for example, Here After Ever. That one has a pretty cool like bass riff. Has like the singing and the rapping, so that one kind of had that more like classic sound from that album. One Way Traffic, that's another good song. Has like a funky sound. They do like the singing and the rapping. It has some of that like psychedelic, like guitar playing in it, and that reminded me a little of maybe like the Give It Away album, something like that. Then a lot of songs have sort of that like Californication sound. So for example, like the first single, Black Summer, that one reminded me a lot of the Californication album. Has that like fuzzy guitar, more of that like pop sound, but still has that like classic like Red Hot Chili Pepper sound. Another song, Let 'Em Cry, that's another ballad, more of like a funky ballad. And it has that like a kind of like a fuzzy guitar solo. They do put in some horns, but they mix very low. This is more of like a structured pop song. And then a lot of the songs on the album did have that modern sound, like that post-Stadium Arcadium type of sound. So, for example, The Great Apes, pretty good song, laid-back song, kind of like a very funky, kind of groove to it. It's Only Natural, that one has like a pretty funky, groove again. The ballad has like a pretty cool guitar, the slap bass. The other song, She's a Lover, that's more of like a pop song with that like funky sound. That one, they kind of like mentioned the album title, Unlimited Love, in it. Another one, White Braids and Pillow Chair. That one's a ballad, but with that that classic signature sound. And Tangelo, that's like the last song on the album, and it's just an acoustic ballad. So those are the ones that had the modern songs. Now there were a few songs that did kind of stand out for me, and these are the ones that actually like. I guess I would say I liked them the best, but they were kind of like the ones that were the most like memorable. So the song Veronica, this one has some pretty cool vocals by Anthony Kiedis, and they have like this pretty cool like underwater guitar sound, And John Frusciante does some vocals on this one, and he does have like an underwater like distortion. I keep using the word underwater. That's what I thought of. And the song does go through some tempo changes, and I really like that one a lot. Another one, The Heavy Wing. The one with a pretty cool echo sound that has like a melodic guitar. And this one is very unique. It has John Frusciante on the co-lead vocals with Anthony Kiedis. So this is a very unique song. Another one, These Are the Ways. This one is very different. It has more of like a classic rock sound, more of like distorted rock riffs, some softer sections, and there are some like heavier stuff, almost like a near metal sound on like some of the like riffs on this song. So this one really stood out. And another one, Bastards of Light. This one was a little different because it had kind of like an electronic, like a goth rock sound, maybe like The Cure. Now, like I said, John Frusciante was doing electronic music, so maybe he brought a little bit of that to this song. But it did have that modern, like Red Hot Chili Peppers, signature sound, the funky bass and things like that. So it wasn't really a complete departure of the sound, but I did like that one a lot. It did stand out. So what are my final thoughts? I definitely liked it. I think it's an improvement over maybe the last few albums. It's definitely an improvement over The Getaway. Maybe like the best since Stadium Arcadium, I would say. But it is a really good album, kind of like a return to form. They do kind of have like a lot of variety. Like I said, it is a long album, but in terms of like Red Hot Chili Peppers albums, it's kind of like standard, like slightly longer than most of the other albums. So definitely, if you like the band, if you like some of their older stuff and the newer stuff, and the more modern sound, and the different eras of the band, they kind of like mix in a lot of that and all throughout the album. So my final score, 8 out of 10. I think it's very good. Maybe like a little bit of filler tracks, but that pretty much all their albums do have a little bit of filler on it because they do tend to write long albums with like many songs. So that's it. Let me know what you thought. Let's get a conversation going in the comments section. My next album will be some heavier stuff, some Sugar. And then the following week, I do have a lot of anniversary reviews, and I'll announce them later on. So thanks for watching. If you're interested, I did a Red Hot Chili Pepper ranking video. It doesn't include this one, obviously, because I did it last year. But if you're interested, I will stick it right there. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.